Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday, July 10th, 2024 meeting of the Zoning Hearing Board for the City of Reading. I will introduce our board members. Jeff?
Jeff Cattone, member of the board.
Tom?
Tom Fox, member of the board.
Charlie?
Charlie Jones, alternate member of the board.
And I'm Phil Rabina, also member of the board. We have two other members, Mr. Harst, I don't know if he'll join us tonight, and Mr. Bars, and he's unable to be with us. Emily?
Emily Diaz-Melendez with the zoning office.
Steve?
Steve Price, solicitor to the board.
Okay, we're going to begin by rendering some decisions from last month's meeting. The first matter was Appeal 2403-0005, 1116 Perry Street. Mr. Price.
Is there a motion to approve the requested relief subject to the conditions set forth in the written decision?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Are there questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
All opposed? Ayes have it. So that's, we have three members plus Charlie as the
Yes.
alternate. All right, so it's 3-0. Okay, thank you.
All right. The next appeal is 2023-06. That's 118 South 9th Street. Mr. Price.
Wait a second. That was the extension.
Oh, okay.
That was, you granted them an extension.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. I
Got me
apologize.
confused there. Yep.
And then the last one was Appeal 2405-0012, 901 Spring Street. Mr. Price.
Right. Is there a motion to approve the relief requested subject to the conditions set forth in the written decision?
So
I'll
moved.
Motion.
Okay. I'll
Motion by
second.
Tom, second by Phil. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes has it, and that's it for the decisions, I guess.
Yes, that is correct. All
But
right.
Phil, one quick question I have in my notes here from the meeting in June. I wrote 118 South 9th extended to July. Well, this is just, I guess I wrote that down wrong. Maybe it's beyond.
I think you're correct,
Yes.
Tone. Let me look at my transcript here.
Yeah, I think we gave them one extension.
Well, you can give them another extension, and then if they don't show up next month, you can terminate the appeal.
That's
Okay.
fine with me.
All right. I'll make a motion to give them an extension for one more month. And after that, there will be a denial. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any discussion? Any opposition? Okay. That passes. All right, this evening, we have a number of hearings. The second and third hearings, just so everybody understands, will require the involvement of an interpreter. So those will move a little bit more slowly, but I just wanted to make everybody aware of what's going on this evening. All right, the first appeal we will hear is 2405-0013, 1853 North 3rd Street. Glidden Development LP is seeking a special exception approval for a neighborhood shopping center, a variance for off-street parking and loading requirements, and an appeal of the zoning officer's determination letter. The subject property is located in the MC Manufacturing Commercial Zoning District, and the owner of record is Anno Reed LLC. Okay, would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank
Has
you.
notice for this appeal been given?
It has.
Thank you. Mr. Price?
I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended. The only question I have before we start, are they sure this is North Third Street?
Yes, the parcel address for this property is 1853 North Third Street per county assessment.
Okay, all right. Are you represented by counsel, Mr. Schuman, or are you doing the presentation yourself?
I'm just going to do the presentation myself this evening.
Okay. You received the letter from the zoning office as to your denial. So whatever you wish to present at some point, hopefully you will address some of those issues. So we'll swear you in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, proceed.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I believe the zoning officer has two, a site rendering and a site plan that we can pull up and take a look at here. Basically, we've done 3 neighborhood shopping centers in the city of Reading over the last 15 years, all very successful. We're looking to do a 4th neighborhood shopping center here on this large site. It's a 20-acre site. This is the southern 13 acres of that site. 156,000 square foot shopping center, more or less. It is a fully permitted by right. Our 2 issues that we are looking for here is the zoning officer has the authority to do a 50% waiver of parking if it's similar uses. We've gotten that at every other neighborhood shopping center we've put in the city. At every one of those neighborhood shopping centers over the last 15 years, there have been no complaints. The parking has been adequate because we make sure that those tenants moving in there have similar uses and there are no parking issues. We plan on doing the exact same here. If there is a waiver, then of that down to the 50%, we actually have nearly 100 spaces more than are needed. So that's the first issue that I wanted to address. The second issue, if we can bring up the site plan. There we go. So we actually have, so the second issue was regarding loading docks or loading spaces. I believe the zoning officer wanted 7 designated loading spaces. We have a loading area listed on here in the upper left-hand corner. Because the tenant configuration has not been laid out yet, we haven't actually laid those out. The hope here was that we could have a zoning approval with a condition on there that when we finalize the land development plan and actually are moving tenants in, that we could have a requirement there that we have those 7 loading spaces in that area, which we have more than enough room for, and that resolves that second issue. There are no other outstanding issues regarding this this zoning application.
So let me just crystallize this. You're looking for the board to give a waiver to 50% of parking requirements, but then you'd still have 100 more additional than you think you would need. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah,
And
so
then the other thing is you're asking the zoning board to say, we'll give tacit approval for the loading spaces, subject to the planning commission approving your design and layout.
correct.
Okay, all right. Thank
So,
you.
for example, the zoning letter, I believe, required us to have roughly 800 spaces. We have 500 spaces. the zoning officer is permitted to provide up to a 50% reduction in number of spaces for similar uses. We have a 50% reduction at the other 3 shopping centers. We'd be looking for that at this shopping center because they will be similar uses. And that means the requirement would only be 400 spaces and we have over 500.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you, Mr. Schuman.
All right. Board members, anybody have any questions?
Nope.
Okay. No
Nope.
questions? All right. I understand you said there's a shopping center, but I noticed there was going to be some large buildings there. Do you have any idea what those might be? Or is that still going to be part of your final planning?
So those are all basically strip mall buildings.
Okay,
So you can see here in the rendering, they're laid out a little bit better. They are going to be tall enough that they could be 2 stories in case some of the tenants wanted to have a mezzanine or a second floor, which has been popular with a few of the tenants in some of our other shopping centers in the city. Or they could just be high 1-story buildings. Let me point out that when that was submitted to the zoning officer, we did put in as if all of those tenants would have put 2 stories in their spaces. So realistically, I would expect less than 25% of them to actually have that square footage of second floor space. So if it's not being used, so let me say that the zoning officer is still calculating that into the requirement for parking.
okay, thank you. All right, does anybody in the audience have any questions of this applicant? Anybody?
¿Alguien en la audiencia tiene alguna pregunta para este solicitante? No response.
Okay. Well, thank you. And unless anybody has anything else they would like to add or comment on, Emily, is there anything you would like to comment on at this point?
Considering what Mr. Schuman said regarding the loading area, it would be preferable if something could be designated for that, for the other building. But if all 7 are located in that loading area, then they would be compliant with the zoning ordinance. So I just wanted to amend my recommendation on my staff report. Since really the location and all of that, if you will defer that to the planning commission, then I would amend my recommendation that it not necessarily be required that he put a loading area in next to the other building.
Okay, thank you.
I did also just want to make a comment. Mr. Schuman, you're aware that there's gonna be a lot of coordination with the DEP.
Yes,
Okay.
we've been working for the past 3 years with DEP. We have a DEP agreement, a buy-sell agreement with the seller where we're going to be taking care of certain things and the seller's going to be taking care of certain things. And that we're hoping to have finalized within the next 90 days. It has been an extensive process working through that.
Okay, great. Then yeah, just whatever documentation you have, just make sure it's with your land development application.
Thank you.
Okay,
And that's all I have.
all right. Mr. Price, anything?
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. That, with that all being said, I'll close this appeal. We'll issue a decision at next month's meeting. We thank you for the information. Sounds like a very interesting project. And you need not be here. The decision will be mailed to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay. All right. The next appeal is 2406-0014. It involves 627, 629, 631, 633, 635 Mulberry Street. The Reading Parking Authority is seeking variances for exceeding percentage of impervious cover to be able to provide surface parking for permit holders to eliminate the requirement for compliance with the buffering requirements, to allow the buffering strip along Mulberry Street to be reduced to 2 1/2 feet in width, to eliminate the requirement for landscaping plantings within the proposed buffer strips, to eliminate the requirement for screening within the proposed buffer strip along Mulberry Street, to eliminate the requirement for clear sight triangles, to eliminate the parking lot setback from an existing dwelling, and to reduce the dimensional requirement for the ADA parking spaces. The subject properties are located in the R3 residential zoning district, and the owner of record is the Reading Parking Authority. Would
Give me
you
one
swear
second.
in our zoning? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do the interpreter need to be sworn in, Phil?
Yes, go ahead.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to interpret truthfully and accurately to the best of your ability tonight?
I do. Can we certify co-interpret? I'm going to interpret now what Phil just said. Esta es la apelación número 2406-0014 para el C27, C29, C31, C33, C35 de la calle Mulberry Street. La autoridad de aparcamientos o estacionamientos de Reading solicita variaciones para exceder el porcentaje de cobertura impermeable para poder proporcionar estacionamiento en la superficie de los titulares que tienen permisos, para eliminar el requisito de cumplimiento de los requisitos de carga, para permitir que la franja de carga a lo largo de la calle Mulberry Street se reduzca a 2,5 pies de ancho, para eliminar el requisito de paisajismo o plantaciones dentro de las franjas de carga propuestas, para eliminar el requisito de protección dentro de la franja de carga propuesta a lo largo de la calle Mulberry Street, y para eliminar el requisito de triángulos de visión, para eliminar el retranqueo del estacionamiento con respecto a una vivienda existente, y para reducir el requisito dimensional para los espacios de estacionamientos para incapacitados. Las propiedades en cuestión están ubicadas en el distrito de zonificación residencial R3 y el propietario registrado es la autoridad de estacionamiento o aparcamiento de Reading.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
You swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Has notice for this appeal been given?
Yes.
¿Se ha dado aviso para esta apelación? Sí.
Okay. Mr. Price?
Just a matter of housekeeping. I don't think we swore in Mr. Schuman at the last hearing. Is he still on the TV or the Zoom?
He is not, would you like me to email him to get back on real quick?
Yeah, just email him to
Yeah.
get back on so he can be sworn in, just so that's all in.
Didn't we swear him in?
We did swear him in?
I thought I swore him in.
Yes, he
Okay,
did.
then, all right, I just thought we did it. Okay.
Thank you. I'm glad someone else remembered that. I thought.
I almost missed it because I was thinking there was an attorney but that's
Right.
okay.
Nope, he's good.
I just want to, okay, so I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Quiero poner algunas pruebas materiales en las actas. El aviso es el número 1, el número 2 es la prueba de publicación, el número 3 es la prueba de muestra, el número 4 es la aplicación adjunta y con todos sus anejos, y el número 5 es la ordenanza de Reading.
Okay, and who is presenting for the parking authority?
Good evening. This is Malin Boyer, solicitor for the Parking Authority.
¿Y quién está
Okay,
presentando para las
swear you in.
autoridades, la autoridad de estacionamiento? Este es Malin Boyer. Buenas noches para las autoridades de estacionamiento.
So Malin, if you want to do an offer of proof, that would be great. Do you have any other witnesses that might have to, if people have questions, testify?
I was going to make an offer of proof for Rafael Batista, the executive director.
Okay.
And then I do need to call Chris Valenki from McCarthy Engineering to speak to some of the variances.
Si quiere hacer una oferta de prueba, quiero hacer una oferta de prueba. Quería presentar después de la oferta de prueba a Rafael Batista and Chris Valenki.
Okay, would you swear in those two people at this point,
All
Sam?
right. Could you both please raise your right hand?
Por favor, ambos levanten su mano derecha.
Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
¿Juran que la declaración que va a presentar es la verdad, toda la verdad, nada más que la verdad? Sí.
Okay.
You want me, do you want the interpreter field to continue to interpret everything?
Yes, you may as well.
Very well.
All right. Emily, we swore you in, didn't we? Or did
Yes,
we?
I'm sworn in.
Okay. All right. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Boyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd initially make an offer of proof in regard to testimony to be given by Mr. Rafael Batista. He is the current executive director of the Reading Parking Authority. The Reading Parking Authority currently owns the contiguous properties at 627, 629, 631, 633, and 635 Mulberry Street. The parking authority.
Okay, if you can give the interpreter a moment to interpret, please.
Okay.
Quiero hacer una oferta de prueba para Rafael Batista, que es el director ejecutivo de la Autoridad para Estacionamiento o Aparcamiento de Reading. La ciudad de Reading es actualmente la dueña de las propiedades en el 627, 629, 631, 633 y 635 de la calle Mulberry.
The Reading Parking Authority is proposing to construct a surface parking lot at these properties as part of its citywide parking relief program.
Las autoridades de Reading está proponiendo construir un estacionamiento de superficie como parte, as part of what, sir? Can you repeat that for the interpreter, please?
Citywide parking relief program.
Como parte del programa de toda la ciudad de desagravio.
The citywide parking relief program is meant to create available parking for city residents throughout the city to alleviate the current parking crisis.
Este programa tiene el propósito de hacer estacionamiento disponible para los residentes de la ciudad de Reading para aliviar la crisis de estacionamiento actual.
It is anticipated that the proposed parking lot will be used by residents living in the surrounding area via the use of monthly residential parking permits.
Se anticipa que este estacionamiento se va a usar por los residentes de Reading usando permisos mensuales.
And I would like to now call Mr. Falenki as a witness.
Y quiero ahora llamar al señor Falenki como testigo.
Mr. Falenki, are you currently a professional
He
engineer
needs to be
with?
sworn in.
Yes, we need to swear him in.
Mr. Falenki was already sworn in.
We swore, I swore both of them at the
I don't
same
know, I
time.
guess I'm missing this. I guess people don't enunciate well enough, but,
We got you, Steve.
all right.
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Falenki, are you currently a professional engineer employed at McCarthy Engineering?
Señor Falenki, usted es un ingeniero actual que está profesional que está trabajando para la firma de ingeniería.
Yes, I am.
We'll stipulate to Mr. Flenke's qualifications. I've worked with him for years and he's presented things at many zoning boards and other municipal boards over the years.
Sí, lo soy. Vamos a estipular a las credenciales del señor Falenki. Yo he trabajado con el señor Falenki por muchos años y él ha presentado en audiencias anteriores del comité de zonificación.
Did McCarthy Engineering design a surface parking lot for these Mulberry Street properties?
McCarthy Engineering diseñó el estacionamiento para estos estacionamientos de superficie.
Yes, we did.
Sí, lo hicimos.
Are the properties currently vacant?
Las propiedades están actualmente vacantes.
Yes, they are.
Sí lo están.
As designed, the parking lot is going to accommodate 20 parking spaces for use by residents, is that correct?
Y estos estacionamientos están diseñados para acomodar 20 estacionamientos para los residentes.
Yes, it is.
Sí lo están.
The parking lot will be owned and operated by the Reading Parking Authority.
Y los estacionamientos van a ser operados y van a estar a titular de de la autoridad de estacionamiento de Reading.
Yes, it will.
Sí
It will,
sí lo va a hacer.
it will have a single entry and exit point at the Mulberry Street with the use of a concrete apron.
Y va a tener un punto de entrada singular en la calle Mulberry con el uso, with the use of what, sir? Can you repeat that for the interpreter again?
Concrete apron.
Con el uso de una entrada de concreto.
Yes, it will.
Así es.
And the lot is proposed to have new lighting installed and it will be monitored remotely by cameras. Is that correct?
Y el lote va a estar, va a tener nueva iluminación y va a ser vigilado remotamente por cámara. ¿Eso es correcto?
Yes, it is.
Así es.
The parking authority is seeking a variance from the requirements of ordinance 600-804A. Is that correct?
Y la autoridad de estacionamiento de Reading está buscando una variación de la ordenanza número 600-804-A.
Yes, we are.
Así es, eso es lo que estamos haciendo.
What is the basis of that request?
¿Cuál es la base de esa petición?
The existing parking lot, although vacant, is already a stone lot, an existing stone lot in the city.
El estacionamiento existente ahora está vacío y es un lote de piedra actualmente.
There are some trees scattered throughout,
Hay algunos árboles esparcidos
and some weeds have grown between the stone that is on the lot.
y la mala hierba ha crecido a través de las piedras que están en ese lote.
So we consider when we repave this lot,
Entonces, cuando hagamos de nuevo este lote, vamos a considerar
that we would be exceeding the coverage allowed in this zone.
que estaremos excediendo la cobertura que se permite en esta zona.
The current zone allows 80% coverage,
La zona actual permite 80% de cobertura
and we are projecting 92% coverage when we pave this lot.
y estamos proyectando 92% de cobertura cuando repavimentemos este lote.
And again, the existing lot is almost 100% stone.
Y otra vez, el lote existente es casi 100% de piedra.
Thank you. The parking authority is also seeking a variance from ordinance 600-804B. Is that correct?
Y gracias. Y la autoridad de estacionamiento también está pidiendo una variación de la ordenanza 600-804B. ¿Eso es correcto?
That is correct.
That's correct. Eso es correcto.
As it exists, the ordinance allows a surface parking area as a principal or accessory use if it serves a use allowed in the R3 district and does not serve the general public. Is that right?
Así como está, esta ordenanza permite que se use esto como para uso de superficie y no esté en incumplimiento de la ordenanza de la zona R3. ¿Eso es correcto?
Yes, that is correct.
Sí, eso es correcto.
This proposed parking lot will be open to the general public, but is meant to accommodate residents living in the area around the lot. Is that correct?
Este estacionamiento va a estar abierto al público en general, pero tiene el propósito de proveer estacionamiento para los residentes del área, ¿correcto?
Yes, it is correct.
Eso es correcto.
The parking lot is meant to serve a use currently allowed in the R3 district, which is the residents that are living there. Is that correct?
Y el estacionamiento tiene ahora el propósito de servir a los residentes del área R3.
Yes, that is correct.
Sí, eso es correcto.
And ultimately, the parking lot is meant to provide more parking for city residents. Is that correct?
Y últimamente el estacionamiento tiene el propósito de proveer más estacionamiento para la ciudad, los residentes de la ciudad. ¿Eso es correcto?
Yes, that is correct.
Sí, eso es correcto.
And Mr. Falenki, do you have any other comments in regard to that ordinance, variance request?
Señor Fallen, ¿tiene algún otro comentario en cuanto a esa petición por esa ordenanza?
These additional 20 parking spaces will be a great benefit to the residents in this area.
Estos 20 espacios adicionales de estacionamiento van a ser para un gran beneficio para los residentes de esa área.
Mr. Falenki, the parking authority is also seeking a variance from the requirements of ordinance 600-1008. Is that correct?
1080, sir, or 8?
1008.
Señor Fallen, que también la ciudad está pidiendo una variación de la ordenanza 600-1008, ¿correcto?
Yes, that is correct.
Sí, eso es correcto.
What is the basis of that variance request?
¿Cuál es la base de esa petición de variación?
Well, the basis of this variance request, as well as many others that we are requesting, is that this is a very small lot within the city.
Bueno, el propósito de esta variación y muchas otras que hemos pedido es que este es un lote bien pequeño dentro de la ciudad.
And in order to meet as many of the ordinances for parking requirements,
Y para poder cumplir con todos los requisitos de los requisitos de estacionamientos y ordenanzas,
we try to ask for relief for as little as possible, and these are the minimum reliefs that we would need.
pedimos desagravio o alivio para los requisitos mínimos posibles, y esto es lo mínimo que podemos pedir.
If we were to provide buffering on this lot, we would eliminate at least 10 parking spaces.
Si pudiéramos proveer esta clase de alivio, eliminaríamos, I'm sorry, you would eliminate at least 20 parking spaces?
10.
Por lo menos 10 estacionamientos.
Mr. Falenki, turning to the variance request regarding ordinance 600-1401A4. Can you please explain the basis for that request?
Señor Zelensky también está pidiendo variación para la ordenanza 600-1401A4. ¿Puede explicar la razón para esa variación?
Again, with this very small lot, we've tried to provide as large a buffer as possible and still comply with the parking requirements.
Otra vez, con este lote tan pequeño, estamos pidiendo las variaciones mínimas que podemos.
So we have provided at least 2.5 feet along Mulberry Street in that scenario.
Y en ese caso hemos provisto por lo menos 2,5 pies en la calle Mulberry.
Mr. Falenki, given your testimony so far, is the basis for the variance request for ordinance 600-1401C regarding landscaping and plantings within the proposed buffer strips based upon the same reasoning that you're trying to maximize the available spaces in this lot?
Señor Falensky, en cuanto a la ordenanza 600-1401C para la jardinería y limpieza, esa está pidiendo la variación máxima en ese caso.
Yes, it is. The buffering requirements of this city require substantial amount of trees and shrubbery, which we cannot comply.
Sí,
As we
lo es. En esta ciudad se le exige una cantidad sustancial de árboles y arbustos y no podemos cumplir con esas exigencias.
However, we can maybe put some small bushes in the area if required.
Pero pudiéramos poner algunos arbustos pequeños en el área si se exige.
What is the basis for the variance request under ordinance 600-1402A?
¿Y cuál es la base para la variación, la petición de variación en la ordenanza 614-02A?
Again, with the maximizing the amount of parking spaces, we have a very small area and cannot meet the requirements of the buffer strip required.
Otra vez, para poder poner al máximo máxima cantidad de estacionamientos, no podemos cumplir con los requisitos de retranqueo.
If we were to place screening along Mulberry Street, there is a potential for security issues.
Si pusiéramos alguna clase de pantalla ahí en la calle Mulberry Street, hay una preocupación de seguridad.
What is the basis for the variance request under ordinance 600-1503A?
¿Y cuál es la razón para la petición de variación en la ordenanza 600-1503A?
The site distance becomes a problem again with eliminating parking spaces.
La distancia de vista otra vez crea un problema con la eliminación de estacionamientos.
The triangle of record is usually 50 to 75 feet, which would then eliminate at least 4 parking spaces.
El triángulo en actas ahora es de 50 a 75 pies, que eliminaría por lo menos 4 estacionamientos.
What is the basis for the variance request under ordinance 600-1602L?
¿Y cuál es la razón por la petición de variación en la ordenanza 616-02L?
The lot has buildings on 2 sides, and to provide that buffer requirement for this section would eliminate all those parking spaces.
El lote tiene edificios en 2 lados y para crear esa zona de retranqueo eliminaría todos esos estacionamientos.
It
And
elim-
finally-
it- I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
But it wasn't listed in the staff.
It would move the parking spaces closer to the center of the lot, therefore not having enough space to back out.
Movería todos los estacionamientos más al centro del lote y no tenía suficiente espacio para retroceder.
And finally, what's the basis for the variance request for ordinance 600-1603J?
Y finalmente, ¿cuál es la razón para la petición de variación para la ordenanza 616-03J?
We are providing handicap spaces per the guidelines of the federal government. The city of Reading guidelines are a little bit different, but we are providing the minimum requirements as the federal government asks for.
Estamos proveyendo los requisitos para espacios para incapacitados según las regulaciones federales. Otra vez estamos proveyendo lo mínimo requerido.
I have no further questions at this time.
Okay,
No tengo más preguntas en este momento.
now, does any board member have any questions at this time? Just
I have 2 questions, Mr.
Go ahead.
Rivera.
¿Algún miembro del comité tiene alguna pregunta en este momento? Sí, tengo 2 preguntas, señor Rivera.
My name is Gatone. I have 2 questions. The first is a little bit of word salad with respect to the who is the parking lot for? I'm not being facetious here, but at one sentence it was, we want to maximize it for the neighborhood, yet we want to have it arranged for other people. What is the lot for? Who's the lot for? Primarily for those living nearby, or will it be available for anybody who wants it? And how would you make such arrangements?
Entonces, una pregunta es debido al palabreo aquí, en cuanto al lote número 4, dicen que para algunos residentes, dicen que para otras personas, ¿para quién es el estacionamiento y cómo van a hacer esos arreglos?
Hi, good evening, and thank you for the time.
Who's this?
My name is Rafael Batista, Executive Director, Reading Parking Authority.
All right,
All right, sir,
Soy
you gotta hold, you
Hold
gotta
on.
have your mic closer to your mouth because it's hard to hear you, sir.
Soy Rafael Batista y soy el director de la ejecutivo de la autoridad del estacionamiento de la autoridad de las autoridades de Reading.
Now, the main purpose of this lot is to provide parking to the residents.
El propósito principal para este lote es para proveer estacionamiento para los residentes.
So answer your question, yes, priority is for residents.
Para responder su pregunta, sí, nuestra prioridad es para los residentes.
That didn't answer my question. Which residents? Primarily those living within some fixed distance close by, the houses nearby, or will it be anybody that wants to park there?
No responde mi pregunta. ¿Se le daría prioridad a los que viven cerca de ahí, dentro de cierta distancia de ahí, o a cualquier persona que se quiera estacionar ahí?
Actually, when we open a lot, resident nearby is the first one to apply for these spaces.
All right, before we go any further, I'm pretty sure this time, this witness has not been sworn in.
no, he has not.
So let's please swear the witness in and then he can affirm that the prior testimony was correct and accurate, and then he can go forward.
Vamos a juramentar a este testigo. Estoy seguro que no lo han hecho todavía y él puede afirmar que la declaración previa fue exacta. Y podemos entonces proceder.
He was one of the two witnesses that were identified in the beginning, wasn't it him and Mr. Flanky?
I don't know, but I just want to make sure the record is correct because we have people that are against this proposal. So I want everybody sworn in. I want it on the record. I just want to make sure.
Quiero asegurarme, él fue uno de los primeros testigos, se juramentó al principio, ¿no? Quiero asegurarme solamente que ya hay algunas personas que se oponen a este proyecto, entonces quiero asegurarme.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please
Te juro
spell
que
your,
la declaración
spell
que
your
va
first name.
te juro que la declaración que va a presentar es la verdad, toda la verdad, y nada más que la verdad. Por favor, deletree su primer nombre.
Rafael, Rafael.
You affirm what you previously testified to was true and accurate, sir?
Yes.
Señor, ¿usted afirma que la declaración que usted presentó anteriormente es justa y exacta, señor? Sí.
Okay. All right, Jeff, did you have all of your questions answered? We kind
There
of
was another simple one. All the other stuff is fairly clear. We used to the buffering and so forth and the bushes or whatever. But I'm a little concerned that we need to, and I'm sure it will be explained, that line of sight. People sort of don't drive so well, I notice in the city, and there are some places I have a heck of a time getting out. So I want to make certain that the line of sight is somehow clearly identified, slowed down, whatever we can do to make the absence of a longer line of sight triangle more beneficial to those leaving the lot.
Entonces, quiero asegurarme que la línea de vista se puede identificar claramente, que se puede ver diciendo disminuye el paso, disminuye la velocidad en ausencia de una señalización más grande.
I can answer that question. Chris Falenke.
Yo puedo responder esas preguntas, Chris Falenke.
The line of sight and the clear sight triangle are two different measurements.
La línea
The-
de vista y la línea de el triángulo claro son dos cosas diferentes.
We will meet the line of sight requirements of the city, which is measured 10 feet from curb line, and you look left and right, the distance of the speed of the road. If we have to eliminate a parking space on the street, we will do so.
Vamos a cumplir con la línea de vista de la ciudad, que es 10 pies del contén o de la curva. Y si tenemos que eliminar un estacionamiento para eso, lo haremos.
The clear sight triangle is more of an area that you would have local to the driveway, but its effects immediately to that driveway, which in this case affects a lot of parking spaces.
El triángulo de vista clara es más, tiene que ver más con el área y afecta más el área local y esa área sí se tiene que cumplir.
Anything else, Jeff?
No, thank you.
Okay,
No
any
más,
other
Jeff, nada
board
más.
members have a question? All right, now.
Mr. Chairman,
¿Algún
is
otro
Mr.
miembro del
Fox-
comité tiene
Let's-
preguntas?
Okay. Mr.
Mr. Chairman,
Fox,
Mr. Fox? I have a question.
go ahead.
I don't know if we got to that yet. If we didn't, just correct me. Did we talk anything about entrance and exits?
No sé si hablamos de eso ya, pero si no, corríjame. ¿Hablamos ya de entradas y salidas?
I can answer that question, Chris Falanki.
Yo puedo responder esta pregunta, Chris Falanqui.
There is only one entrance and exit to this lot off of Mulberry Street,
Solamente hay una entrada y salida a este lote desde la calle Mulberry.
and the width of that entrance will comply with city requirements.
Y la anchura de esa entrada va a cumplir con los requisitos de la ciudad.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Now, does any member of the audience have any questions of this applicant? And these are questions only, not whether you like it or you don't like it. If you have a question at this point.
Bill, I have a couple
Mientras
questions.
algún miembro de la audiencia tiene preguntas para en esta audiencia, esas son preguntas solamente, no es opinión en cuanto a si le gusta o no le gusta, solamente preguntas.
We will need your name and your address, please, also.
Necesitaremos su nombre y su dirección también.
Bill, I have some questions.
Okay, we'll take Emily first and then we'll go to anybody in the audience.
Bien, entonces vamos a escuchar a Emily primero y después a cualquier otra persona en el auditorio.
So for whoever, I guess this would probably be Mr. Falanki. On the site plan, it's listed that there's a 10-foot alley at the rear of the lot. Is there a reason that the alley isn't being used as the entrance?
Para el señor Falinki, en el plan del sitio dice que hay un callejón detrás, entonces, ¿hay alguna razón por la que el callejón no se está usando como entrada?
There are two reasons, security and operations.
Dos razones, seguridad y operación.
The way the cameras will be set up, we'll be able to see the cars coming in and out at one location.
La forma como las cámaras están montadas, vamos a poder ver los vehículos entran y salen en una ubicación.
And for the security part, we are fencing that alley so that cars cannot cross through into it.
Y para propósito de seguridad, vamos a poner una verja en ese callejón para que los carros no puedan cruzar por ahí.
Okay, but the zoning ordinance says that if there's a minimum 10-foot alley that you're to utilize the alley as the entrance and not create a new driveway cut. So is there a reason why the entrance couldn't be along the alley and then just not have to take away any street parking along Mulberry Street.
Entonces las ordenanzas exigen que si hay un callejón de 10 pies, se tendría que usar el callejón como entrada y no crear una nueva entrada y así de esa forma no quitar estacionamiento de la calle Mulberry.
The alley is only 10 feet wide. It is a brick alley.
El callejón solamente es de 10 pies de ancho y es de ladrillos.
And asking residents of the area to use a back alley to get into a parking lot would really be a last resort recommendation as an engineer.
Y como ingeniero, sabiendo que el callejón es de 10 pies de ancho, el pedirle a los residentes que usen ese callejón no sería una recomendación mía como ingeniero.
Especially if you have residents leaving in the morning to going to work, you'll have multiple cars trying to use a very small alley.
Especialmente teniendo residentes que quieran usar en la mañana, saliendo en la mañana para ir a trabajar, va a tener múltiples carros tratando de usarlo.
Okay. Well, that will, I don't know if you want to amend your request, but that's going to need to be a variance because the zoning ordinance only requires a minimum of a 10-foot alley in that way to use the alley. So
Entonces,
just so you're aware.
no sé si quiere entonces enmendar o cambiar su solicitud, porque la ordenanza exige solamente una callejón de 10 pies para usarlo.
Emily, to be clear, you're saying we need a variance not to use the alley?
Yes.
Emily, para estar claro, tú estás diciendo que necesitamos una petición de variación para pedir que no se use el callejón. Sí.
And Emily, what would be the section for that, please?
1602B.
Okay,
Y
so.
Emily, ¿cuál sería la sección 1602B?
So just so we're clear, because the applicant has already requested a number of variances, they're allowed to amend their application to include an additional variance because the public was on notice that variances were under consideration tonight. So that would be an amended application to include section 16(0)B of the Reading zoning ordinance.
Entonces, para que se entienda a los residentes, eso sería una variación, ya que ellos han hecho varias peticiones de variación. Eso sería una petición para la variación de la zona de la ordenanza 1602B.
Then, Emily, I would like to amend my application and I could have a mail-in confirm that.
Emily, quiero cambiar mi aplicación y quiero que se confirme eso, un miembro.
Yes, this will confirm that the parking authority wants to amend its application to include the variance under discussion.
Sí, eso confirma que la autoridad de estacionamiento quiere enmendar o cambiar la aplicación en esa información.
Okay, thank you. Another question.
Ok, gracias. Otra pregunta.
In these buffer strip areas, it's something called perk pave. Can you explain what that is?
En estas zonas de retrancamiento hay algo que se llama perk pave. ¿Puede explicar lo que significa eso?
Perk Pave is a product that we have used in our last parking lot at 625 McKnight Street.
Perk pave es un producto que hemos usado en nuestro último estacionamiento en la McKnight Street. What number, sir? 625 McKnight?
Yes.
En 625 de la McKnight.
This product is a porous pavement where stormwater is allowed to infiltrate into the ground.
Este producto es un producto de repavimentar que permite que el agua se pueda, es poroso y de esa forma el agua puede entrar otra vez.
Similar to what trees and shrubbery would be absorbing water, rainwater.
Similarmente como los árboles y los arbustos recubrirían agua. The interpreter needs a minute.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a couple more questions and then like 2 or 3 comments.
Okay, go ahead.
¿Alguna otra pregunta? Sí, tengo un par de preguntas más y un par de comentarios.
And so are trees or shrubbery able to be planted in this perk pave?
Entonces, arbustos y árboles se pueden plantar en este perk pave.
Yes, they are.
Sí, se puede.
The water from the rainwater does absorb through this perk pave to the root structure, and the trees can grow within those. What it also does is prevent weed growth.
Sí, se puede y lo que hace es que el agua de lluvia puede ser absorbida a la raíz de los árboles y evita, it avoids what, sir? What kind of growth?
Weeds from growing.
Ok, y evita que la mala hierba crezca.
Okay, and then I did want to, are you familiar with the relief parking project along Schuylkill Avenue?
¿Está usted familiarizado con el proyecto de alivio para estacionamiento cerca de la Schuylkill Avenue?
I'm not sure it's by relief parking.
No sé qué quiere decir con ese.
It's part of the parking relief program.
Es parte del programa de alivio de estacionamientos.
I am not intimate with that project.
No estoy familiarizado con ese proyecto.
Okay, are you able to see it on your screen?
¿Puede verlo en su pantalla?
Yes.
Sí.
Okay. So I guess this would be to Mr. Frankie and or Mr. Batista. Is a setup like this on Schuylkill Avenue where the entrance is along the alley, there's a little bit more of a buffer and there isn't parking on the other side. Is something like this feasible at Mulberry Street?
Entonces, esta pregunta para usted, señor Frankie. Una clase de montaje como este o forma de hacerlo como este, donde la entrada está en el callejón y no elimina el estacionamiento en la calle Mulberry Street. Emily, you mentioned one more item. What was it?
That there's more of a buffer and there isn't parking on the other side.
Y hay más retrancamiento y no hay estacionamiento en el otro lado.
If it's feasible.
Si se pudiera.
This parking layout would eliminate 10 parking spaces in our design. And
Esta forma de estacionamiento, de crear estacionamientos, eliminaría 10 estacionamientos en nuestro diseño.
And would be contrary to the parking authority trying to maximize the parking spaces it can in the area.
Y estaría en contra de lo que la autoridad de estacionamiento quiere lograr de que haya más estacionamiento en el área.
This parking lot appears to have 8 parking spaces, so we are talking a very small number of cars going through the alley.
Este estacionamiento aparenta tener 8 estacionamientos y una cantidad pequeña de carros en el área, en el callejón.
Okay, that's all the questions I have, and then I just have one comment.
Son todas las preguntas que tengo y un comentario.
In regards to the clear site triangle, the denial letter didn't say that it didn't meet the clear site triangle. It's just it wasn't shown. And given the requirements of the zoning ordinance, I don't believe you would need a variance of the clear site triangle, given that on the site plan, it shows at least 100 feet to each alley.
En cuanto al triángulo de vista clara, En la carta no decía, la desaprobación no decía que no cumplía, sino solamente decía que no lo mostraba. And Emily, can you repeat after that for me, please?
Yes. That I don't believe a variance would be required for the site triangle, given the distance of at least 100 feet in either direction to the alley.
Y no creo que una variación se necesitaría debido a la distancia de 100 pies en ambas direcciones hasta el callejón.
That's all I have.
Eso es todo lo que tengo.
All right, Mr. Price, do you have anything?
Señor Price, ¿tiene algo? No.
All right, now, anybody in the audience have any question?
¿Alguien más tiene alguna pregunta en la audiencia?
Okay,
No response.
seeing none.
No viendo
Anybody
ninguna.
wish to testify for or against granting this application?
¿Alguna parte quiere declarar a favor o en contra de que se apruebe esta solicitud?
All right, again, seeing none.
Otra vez, viendo ninguna.
Unless any board members have anything they would like to say, I'm going to close this appeal. And we'll issue a decision at next month's meeting. You need not be here. The decision will be mailed to you.
A menos que alguno de los miembros del comité tengan alguna comentario más que decir, voy a cerrar esta audiencia y la decisión se va a hacer en la reunión, se va a anunciar en la próxima reunión del mes que viene. No tiene que estar aquí.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to move on to appeal 2406-0015. That is 501, 503, 507, 509, 511, 513, and 515 North 9th Street. The Reading Parking Authority is seeking variances for exceeding percentage of impervious coverage to be able to provide surface parking for permit holders, to eliminate the requirement for the compliance of the buffering requirements, to reduce the required buffering strip along Green Street to be 3 feet in width, to eliminate the requirements for landscaping plantings within the proposed buffer strips, to eliminate the requirement for screening within the preferred buffer strip along North 9th Street, to eliminate the requirement for clear sight triangles, to reduce the parking lot setback to 3 feet from an existing dwelling, and to reduce the dimensional requirement for the ADA parking spaces. The subject properties are located in the R3 zoning district, and the owner of record is the Reading Parking Authority. I guess we have to swear in Ken again. Go ahead.
Do you swear to interpret truthfully and accurately to the best of your ability tonight?
I do, Ken Olivo, certified court interpreter. And I'm going to interpret what Phil mentioned. Esta apelación número 2406, guión 0015 para el 501, 503, 507, 509, 511, 513, 515 de la calle Norte 9. Y es la autoridad de aparcamientos o estacionamientos de la ciudad de Reading solicita variaciones para exceder el porcentaje de cobertura impermeable para poder proporcionar aparcamiento o estacionamiento en superficie a los titulares de permiso, para eliminar el requisito de cumplimiento de los requisitos de carga para reducir la franja de carga requerida a lo largo de la calle Green Street a 3 pies de ancho, para eliminar los requisitos de paisajismo o plantaciones dentro de la franja de amortiguación o carga propuestas, para eliminar el requisito de apantallamiento dentro de la franja de amortiguación o carga propuesta a lo largo de la calle Norte 9, eliminar el requisito de triángulos de visión despejados, reducir el retranqueo de estacionamiento a 3 pies de una vivienda existente y reducir el requisito dimensional para los espacios de estacionamiento para incapacitados. La propiedad en cuestión está situada en el distrito de zonificación residencial R3. El propietario registrado es la autoridad de aparcamiento o estacionamiento de la ciudad de Reading.
Okay, thank you. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Seguramente a
noted,
nuestro oficial de zonificación, por favor. Jura que va a decir la verdad, toda la verdad, nada más que la verdad, lo hago.
Has notice for this appeal been given?
It has.
Okay.
¿Se ha dado
Mr.
aviso para esta apelación? Sí.
Mr. Price?
Thanks. I'll put some, pardon me, exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Okay, thank you.
Y señor Price, sí, las pruebas materiales que se admiten, se hacen parte de las actas, es la número 1, el aviso, el número 2, la prueba de publicación, número 3, la prueba de muestra, número 4, la solicitud y todos sus anejos, y número 5, la ordenanza de zonificación de Reading.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Boyer,
Gracias.
we'll let you enter your appearance and then we'll swear in your witness at this time also.
Señor Boyer, voy ahora a dejar que usted haga su presencia y que juramente a sus testigos en este momento también.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Malin Boyer, appearing as solicitor for the Reading Parking Authority.
Gracias, señor presidente de este comité. Malin Boyer, que soy el procurador para la ciudad, la autoridad de estacionamiento de la ciudad de Reading.
Okay, and you swear in your witness?
Juramente sus testigos.
I would ask to have Mr. Rafael Batista and Mr. Christopher Falenki sworn in.
Okay,
Quiero que el señor Rafael Batista y Christopher Falenki que seguramente.
All right, gentlemen, please raise your right hand.
Caballero, levante sus manos.
You swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Seguro que la declaración que van a presentar ahora es la verdad, toda la verdad, nada más que la verdad, lo hacemos.
okay, pretty much the same way we did the last hearing. So Mr. Boyer, proceed, please.
La misma forma como hicimos la última audiencia, señor Boyer, proceda, por favor.
Thank you. I would make the following offer of proof.
Gracias. Hago la siguiente oferta de prueba.
Mr. Rafael Batista is the Executive Director of the Reading Parking Authority.
El señor Rafael Batista es el director ejecutivo de la Autoridad de Estacionamiento de Reading.
The Parking Authority is the owner of the North 9th Street properties that are currently under application before this board.
Y las propiedades de la norte de la calle 9 que están enfrente de este comité ahora, el dueño de esas propiedades es las autoridades de estacionamiento de Reading.
The Parking Authority wants to construct a surface parking lot at these properties as part of its city-wide parking relief program.
Y la ciudad de Reading quiere construir un estacionamiento, un lote de estacionamientos ahí, como parte del programa CWPRP.
The citywide parking relief program is meant to create available parking for city residents to alleviate the current parking crisis.
El programa CWPRP tiene el propósito de proveer estacionamiento para los residentes de Reading para eliminar o aliviar la crisis de estacionamiento existente.
It is anticipated that the proposed parking lot will be used by residents living in the surrounding area via the use of monthly residential parking permits.
Se anticipa que se va a usar por los residentes que viven en esa área y usando permisos mensuales de estacionamiento.
As our first witness, we would call Mr. Christopher Falenki.
Como testigo llamo al señor Christopher Falenki.
Mr. Falenki, are you a professional engineer employed by McCarthy Engineering?
Señor Falenki, ¿usted es un ingeniero profesional empleado por McCarthy Engineering?
Yes, I am.
Sí lo soy.
Did McCarthy Engineering design the proposed surface parking lot at the North 9th Street properties?
McCarthy Engineering diseñó el propuesto estacionamiento, lote de estacionamiento en la área de la calle Norte 9.
Yes, we did.
Lo hicimos.
Are the properties currently vacant?
Las propiedades están actualmente vacías, vacantes.
Yes, they are.
Sí lo están.
Does the design of the proposed parking lot confirm a paved parking lot that will accommodate 35 parking spaces?
Y este estacionamiento es para hacer un estacionamiento, este diseño pavimentado con 35 espacios de estacionamiento.
Yes, it does.
Así es.
Will the proposed parking lot have a single entry and exit point?
Y tendrá un punto de entrada único o singular y salida.
Yes, it will.
Así será.
Where is that entry and exit point located?
¿Dónde está ubicado ese punto de entrada y salida?
The entrance is located off Green Street, and it's as far back off the intersection of North 9th Street as possible.
Está en la calle Green y está alejada de la calle Norte 9 lo más posible.
Well, I think Malin has some connectivity issues.
That's the least of his problems.
Malin, are you back?
Parece que el señor Melen tiene dificultades de conexión.
Helen, come back. He did that silly Dan or nothing.
I think he's back now.
I'm back.
We lose you again, you lose.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if Chris answered my last question.
He did.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it. So,
Entry and exit point was the last question.
right, where is it located?
Located. He answered.
And hopefully he said Green Street.
Punto de
Okay.
entrada y salida, esperamos que haya dicho la calle Green.
Mr. Falenki, is that entry and exit point set to comply with PennDOT requirements?
Señor Fallen, que ese punto de entrada y salida cumple con los requisitos del Departamento de Transportación.
It complies as close as possible to PennDOT requirements in that the entrance is as far as possible from the intersection based on the property itself.
Cumple lo más posible con los requisitos de PennDOT en el sentido de que la entrada está lo más lejos posible de as far as possible from where, sir?
The intersection of North 9th Street.
De la intersección de la calle Norte 9.
As part of the design for the parking lot, is there going to be new lighting installed?
Como parte del diseño del estacionamiento, ¿va a haber nueva iluminación instalada?
Yes, there'll be new lighting as well as cameras for security.
Sí, va a haber nueva luz, al igual que cámaras para seguridad.
The parking authority is seeking a variance under ordinance 600-804A. Can you please explain the basis for that variance request?
Las autoridades están buscando una variación de acuerdo con la ordenanza 600-804A. Explique la razón para eso.
These lots today are actually being parked on by city residents today. The lot is pretty much 95% paved with stone. And the reason why we're asking for the variance today is because we want to actually improve it so it becomes a better safe and secure parking lot.
Este estacionamiento hoy día está siendo ya usado como estacionamiento por los residentes. 95% de él está con piedra y queremos la variación para mejorar la seguridad.
The parking authority is seeking a 92% impervious coverage, is that correct?
Y están pidiendo la autoridad de Reading 92% de cubrimiento.
Yes, we are. We're trying to, again, comply with the impervious coverage of the lot, although the lot is at 80% maximum, and we are going to be at 92%, although the lot currently is well, almost 95% impervious.
Sí, estamos tratando de que cumplir con la clase de cobertura impervia, pero el lote está a 80% de máximo, queremos 92%.
So the parking authority would be continuing the current impervious coverage based upon its current request.
Entonces las autoridades están pidiendo la cobertura impervia existente de acuerdo con los usos existentes.
Yes, and actually an improvement because this lot does allow for some trees and shrubberies to be planted.
Sí, de hecho, un mejoramiento, porque este lote sí permite que se planten árboles y arbustos.
The parking authority is also seeking a variance under ordinance 600-804B. What is the basis for that variance request?
Y también se está pidiendo una variación bajo la variación 60804, la ordenanza 60804B. ¿Cuál es el propósito de esto?
This lot will be open to the general public surrounding the area in experience on the lots that we have been constructing in the city.
Va a estar disponible para el público en general en el área, como lo que hemos estado construyendo en la ciudad.
The residents nearby are first given the opportunity to purchase a parking pass.
Los residentes en el área, primero se les da la oportunidad para comprar el permiso en esos lotes.
So this lot would be serving the immediate area.
Entonces, este lote va a servir a los que están en el área inmediata primero.
The parking authority is seeking a variance under ordinance 600-1008. What is the basis for that request?
Y también para una variación para la ordenanza 600-1008. ¿Cuál es el propósito de eso?
We are providing buffering on our property, although we cannot comply exactly with this section of the ordinance.
Estamos proveyendo retranqueo en nuestra propiedad, aunque no podemos cumplir exactamente con la ordenanza.
Following the ordinance would eliminate at least 10 parking spaces.
Sí, cumplir con la ordenanza eliminaría por lo menos 10 espacios de estacionamiento.
The parking authority is seeking a variance under ordinance 600-1401A4. What is the basis for that variance request?
Y también se está pidiendo una variación en la ordenanza 600-1401A4. ¿Cuál es el propósito de esa variación?
The access off Green Street does have a buffer area, although it does not comply exactly with this section of the ordinance. We are showing buffering, but it's smaller, and the smallest space is 3.5 feet.
La área de acceso en la calle Green sí cumple con la ordenanza, pero estamos viendo un ranqueo de 3,5 pies.
And this is meant to maximize the available parking spaces in the lot, correct?
Y esto es para poder maximizar, para poder tener al máximo los espacios en el área.
Yes, it does. If we move the lot further from Green Street, we actually move it closer to the residences.
Sí, si movemos los estacionamientos, el lote más allá de la Green Street, lo moveríamos más cerca de la residencia.
The parking authority is seeking a variance under ordinance 600-1401C. What is the basis for that variance request?
Y la autoridad también está pidiendo una variación en la ordenanza 614-01C. ¿Cuál es el propósito?
Again, to meet the exact requirements of the ordinance requires substantial shrubbery and trees. We are proposing shrubbery and trees on this plan, although we can't comply exactly with this section.
Otra vez, la ordenanza exigiría una cantidad sustancial de árboles y matorrales o arbustos y no podemos cumplir con esa ordenanza.
The parking authority is seeking a variance from ordinance 600-1402A. What is the basis for that variance request?
Y también las autoridades están pidiendo la variación en la ordenanza 614-02A. ¿Cuál es el propósito?
This requirement is along North 9th Street with the buffer.
Este requisito es en la calle 9 con el retranqueo.
And providing the screening that's required in the ordinance could pose a safety issue for security for the lot.
Y el proveer el pantalleo ahí presentaría una dificultad de seguridad en el área, en el lote.
The parking authority wants an open view of the parking lot for safety and police patrols. Is that correct?
Y la autoridad de estacionamiento quiere que haya una vista abierta del estacionamiento para proveer seguridad. ¿Es correcto?
Yes, it is.
Así es.
So this request is meant to increase safety at the parking lot. Is that correct?
Entonces, esta petición es para aumentar seguridad en el lote. ¿Es correcto?
Yes,
Okay.
with this lot plan you see in front of you does not have a lot of details as the previous project, but it will be very similar in that it will have the shrubbery, the perky pave for water control. So we are putting a little bit more flair to this property because I have a little bit more room. We just can't comply with the exact requirements of the ordinance.
Sí, este tiene menos detalle que el otro, pero este sí va a tener los arbustos, el producto Perky Pave y el punto es que no podemos proveer, no podemos cumplir exactamente con las ordenanzas.
The parking authority is seeking variance from the requirements of ordinance 600-1503A. What is the basis for that request?
Y se está pidiendo también a la autoridad una variación de la ordenanza 615-03A. ¿Cuál es el propósito?
Again, a clear side triangle does not allow parking to be placed within it, and providing that clear side triangle for the drive access onto Green Street could eliminate 4 parking spaces.
Otra vez, el proveer el triángulo de vista clara, entonces eliminaría 4 estacionamientos en ese estacionamiento.
The parking authority is seeking a variance from ordinance 600-1602L. What is the basis of that request?
Y la autoridad está pidiendo una variación del 616-02A. ¿Cuál es el propósito de esa variación, esa petición?
In order to, again, maximize this lot, the space between the parking space and the building is maximized as much as possible, which is 3 feet. Complying with the ordinance will eliminate those 6 parking spaces in that area.
Otra vez, para maximizar los estacionamientos y el espacio entre el lote y el edificio y el cumplir con la ordenanza. I'm sorry, so complying with the ordinance would do what again?
It would eliminate the 6 parking spaces.
Eliminaría 6 espacio de estacionamiento.
Finally, the parking authority is seeking a variance from the requirements of ordinance 600-1602D. What is the basis of that request?
Y finalmente, las autoridades están pidiendo una variación de la ordenanza 61602D. ¿Cuál es el propósito de esa?
We are providing ADA parking spaces, although our parking spaces are based on the federal design guidelines. Following the city guidelines would eliminate an additional space or two in the lot.
Estamos cumpliendo con las ordenanzas de espacios para incapacitados de acuerdo con el diseño o pautas de diseño federales. Si siguiéramos las pautas de diseño de la ciudad, eso eliminaría uno o dos estacionamientos.
I have no further questions at this time.
No tengo más preguntas en este momento.
Okay. Emily, questions?
Yes.
¿Emily pregunta? Sí.
Along these buffer areas, the perk pave, are any of these, especially along the alley or along North 9th Street, are they wide enough to accommodate any additional shade trees?
En estas áreas de la Norte 9, ¿son suficientemente más grandes para acomodar árboles?
Along the alley, no. Along North 9th Street, no, because we are actually going to do stormwater control in that area there, and we can't plant trees in stormwater.
En el callejón ni en la 9, no, porque estamos tratando de hacer control de aguas de tormentas y no podemos plantar árboles en las áreas de control de aguas de tormentas.
Okay. And then thinking back to that Schuylkill Avenue project, if you remember, there was some brick and I believe wood planters.
Y pensando en ese proyecto de la calle Schuylkill Avenue, había tarros o envases para plantar de ladrillo y de madera.
Is
Yes,
there, okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I recall that picture.
Sí, recuerdo esa foto.
Is there a possibility to do something similar to that along North 9th Street in order to provide some sort of or a perception of screening?
I'm sorry, Emily, is there a possibility to provide what again?
To provide something similar to along, sorry, go ahead.
¿Hay alguna posibilidad de proveer algo similar para proveer alguna clase de pantalleo? And you said along 9th Street?
Along North 9th Street, yes.
Ahí en el área de la calle 9.
I show on the plan the similar plantings along Green Street. Along 9th Street, all the stormwater is running towards 9th Street. If during the land development process,
En el área, veo esos envases de plantar en la calle Green. En la calle 9, toda el agua de tormenta o toda el agua escorrería hacia la calle 9. En el proceso si en el proceso de planeamiento,
if it is confirmed I don't need as all this area for stormwater control,
si se confirma que no necesito toda esa área para control de aguas de tormentas,
I could add some plantings, yes.
entonces yo sí pudiera añadir alguna clase de áreas de plantar, sí.
And then speaking about the plantings along Green Street, is there any possibility that instead of having the shrubs to have additional shade trees, or is that area not wide enough for a tree?
Y en el área de la calle Green, hay posibilidad de que se planten arbustos o no es posible en esa área.
I had that discussion with my landscape architect and they said it's just not wide enough.
Tuve esa conversación con mi arquitecto de jardinería y me dijo que es que no es suficientemente ancha.
Okay, and then just one last question. There's a proposed fence along here about, at the alley. What type of, is it gonna be a chain link, wrought iron, a brick wall? What type of fencing or, wall is going to be back here?
Y si hay una verja propuesta aquí en el callejón, ¿qué clase de verja va a ser en cuanto a material, alambrado, va a ser de ladrillo? ¿Qué clase de verja va a ser?
That detail has not been decided, although I would say we would do the same as we did for 625 McKnight Street.
Ese detalle no se ha hablado. Yo diría que pudiera ser el mismo que el diseño del 625 de la calle McKnight.
And those are all the questions I have. The only comment I would say, is that we possibly continue discussing landscaping options during the land development stage, especially as we get clarification regarding stormwater management.
Eso es todo lo que tengo. Es solamente un comentario que tal vez pudiéramos seguir hablando de la jardinería durante el proceso de desarrollo del terreno.
Okay, is that it, Emily, for you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Price, anything?
Nothing.
Okay, board members, anybody on the board have any questions of this applicant?
¿Alguien tiene alguna pregunta para este solicitante, miembros del comité?
Nobody?
¿Nadie?
I have two quick questions. Are you using the same type of surface on this lot as you were on the previous lot that you were planning? And second of all, I may have missed this on the plans, are you going to be monitoring this by video camera also?
Tengo dos preguntas. ¿Se va a vigilar esto por cámara de video y va a usar la misma clase de superficie como en el otro proyecto?
I can answer that question, Chris Valenki.
Okay.
And yes, we are proposing the same surface, the perky pave and the pavement, as well as security cameras, yes.
Yo puedo responder esa pregunta, Chris Felenke. Sí vamos a usar la misma clase de superficie, perky pave y el pavimento, y sí vamos a usar la cámara de video.
Thank you.
Gracias.
All right. Does anybody in the audience have any questions of this applicant?
¿Alguien en la audiencia tiene alguna pregunta de este solicitante?
He's on the phone. That's what it is, Valentina, right?
Okay. I didn't quite hear.
Go ahead.
Okay. I didn't quite hear all of that.
I think it was just background noise on someone that wasn't muted.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Seeing none. Mr. Boyer, anything you would like to add?
No
No,
vino
thank you.
ninguna, señor Boy. ¿Algo que quiera añadir?
Okay.
No, gracias.
All right. Anybody in the audience want to testify for or against the granting of this application?
¿Alguien en la audiencia quiere declarar a favor o en contra de que se apruebe esta solicitud?
All right. Seeing none, I'm going to close this appeal. Thank
Bien.
all of you for your testimony, and we'll issue a decision at next month's meeting. You need not be here. It will be mailed to you. Thank you.
Porque no habiendo ninguna, vamos a emitir una decisión para la próxima reunión el próximo mes y no tiene que estar aquí. Gracias.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
Ken.
Thank you.
Okay. The next appeal. And I think you're done, Ken. I don't think we need your services anymore this evening, but thank you. Appeal 2406-0016, 832 North 8th Street. Aztecas Plumbing and Heating AC LLC is seeking a special exception approval to adaptively reuse the second floor as a dwelling unit and an appeal from the zoning officer's determination letter. The subject property is located in the CN Commercial Neighborhood Zoning District, and the owner of record is Aztecas Plumbing and Heating, AC LLC. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Has notice for this appeal been given?
It has.
Mr. Price?
I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Thank you. And Mr. Deming,
Yes,
I think, you're presenting for them?
I am. I'd like to begin by making an offer of proof. I have 2 witnesses tonight. The first will be Juan Cortez. Juan Cortez is a realtor who sold the subject property to Aztecas Plumbing and Heating, AC LLC, back in 2021. And he's going to be providing some brief testimony on what the use of the property was at the time of the sale, and basically I'll go into more detail with him, but essentially the facts are that he will be testifying to that it was tenant occupied on the second floor at the time of the sale to Aztecas Plumbing and Heating, AC
Well, how about
LLC.
if they're going to speak, we'll have them sworn in at this point, and then you can just keep going.
Okay. They're definitely going to speak, so I'll wait for you to swear them in.
Okay. You want to swear them in, please? I'm not
Alright,
sure
please,
where they're at.
Both, is it Juan and Victor?
It is Juan Victor. Victor, you have to unmute yourself. Victor, you have to unmute. There you go.
All right. Both please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. I do, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
So Mr. Deming, do the offer of proof and put the substantive testimony in. And then if anybody has questions for your 2 witnesses, they can ask questions, because I think you could cut to the chase.
Okay.
And
Very
Mr.
good.
Mr. Deming, can you please give me your full appearance? I don't know your full name.
Sure. Name is Osmer Deming. OSMERDEMING. I'm an attorney licensed in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. My primary office is located at 38 North 6th Street, City of Reading, Pennsylvania 19601.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Yes, Attorney Price. Juan Cortez is a realtor. He's going, again, will testify that there were tenants living in the property. He knows the tenants living in the property. The previous owner of the property, according to the deed, is Kevin Jackson Group LLC. My client, Aztecas Plumbing and Heating, AC LLC, acquired title to said real property on November 9, 2021. So that will be the sum and substance of Juan Cortez's testimony. He also will testify a bit about the condition of the property shortly before the sale. The next witness, Victor Sales, will testify that he is the sole owner of the single LLC membership of the sole LLC. Sole member LLC, Aztecas Plumbing and Heating AC LLC. He's going to testify that he did not do any substantive or renovations in the property since he's acquired title. The only changes he's made to the subject property are cosmetic in nature. And in furtherance of that, we submitted to the zoning office with our appeal color photographs that Mr. Sales took of the property, as well as, I believe, if I'm looking through my stack correctly, as well as some architectural sketches of the property, both of the facade and of the interior and of the parking lot in the rear.
Why don't
And-
we, what's on the first floor, Mr. Deming? Is that retail or commercial or?
The first floor is commercial space. It is currently unoccupied, unused commercial space. Mr. Sales has indicated to me that if and when he rents it out in the future, he intends to rent it out to a storage for storage primarily, and not for any heavy commercial retail use.
All right, why don't you have the pictures pop up that Mr. Sales took and he can describe them very quickly. And then we'll move to your sole member LLC witness.
Okay.
Mr. Sales available?
Mr. Sales is here. I thought the zoning officer could pop those up on the screen. I think she has them. Does she have them?
Yes,
Can
I'll
you?
put them up.
Thank you.
1 second here.
Attorney Price, you want testimony from Mr. Sales last, correct?
Well, no, he can describe the pictures if you want.
Okay. Mr. Sales, up on the screen, can you please describe for the zoning hearing board what that picture depicts?
That's the hallway going to the kitchen and the living room.
And that?
That's the whole, that's the first floor hallway going to the apartment.
Okay, what's that, sir?
That's existing bathroom.
Okay, now you said, can you go back to that one for a second, please? Now you said existing bathroom, correct, sir?
Yes.
All right. So when you bought the property, that was that was basically the toilet was there, the sink pedestal was there, correct, sir?
Correct.
All right. Now on the left side of the picture there, what does that depict? It looks like it's some dark curtain area off to the left-hand side of the photo. Can you please describe that for the zoning hearing board?
That's a shower stall. That's a
Okay.
shower.
And so a shower stall. So was that there, sir, when you purchased the property?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's a closet for one of the bedrooms. And then again, that's a hallway going to the bathroom too, with the electrical panel right there. That's one of the bedrooms.
And that, sir, is I described earlier, is that an architectural drawing of the facade of the building?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And what is your intention with respect to if the zoning hearing board were to grant you relief in this case, what is your intention with the second floor of the property?
Make it an apartment. Make it an apartment.
Okay.
Were people living in the apartment? He was the realtor, right?
The realtor is Juan Cortez. He's my second witness.
Okay, so this is the owner of Azteca's Plumbing.
Yes.
Yes.
So when he purchased the property, were there people living on the second floor?
No, they weren't living there. And then when I purchased, they move out.
Okay, so they were living there and then you purchased it and they moved out.
They're correct, yes.
Okay.
Okay. You heard me give an offer of proof with respect to what your intention is with respect to the commercial use of the property. Was that accurate? Is there anything else you feel you need to add, Mr. Sales?
No, it's not.
Do you have parking available for any residential tenants on the property, sir?
Yes, I have 3.
Now you say you have 3. Are you referencing street parking or off-street parking, sir?
Off-street parking.
Off-street parking. Okay.
Correct.
Let's see. I believe that's all the questions I have for you.
Okay.
Okay. next like to call Juan Cortez.
I'm here.
Juan, what is your occupation, sir?
I'm a full-time real estate agent here in Berks County.
Okay, and are you familiar with 832 North 8th Street?
Yes, I am.
All right, were you the realtor involved in the transaction to Aztecas Plumbing and Heating AC LLC back in November 2021?
Yes, I did represent that transaction.
All right, did you observe that it was tenant occupied at or around the time of the sale to Aztecas Plumbing and Heating?
Yes, during showings of the property and presentation of the property, the second floor section of the property was occupied by residential tenant.
Okay, and was the previous owner of the property an LLC named Kevin Jackson Group LLC?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. I believe that's all questions I have for Mr. Cortez.
Let me ask Mr. Cortez, what was the prior use of the first floor, do you know?
At the time, it was like vacant commercial space. My understanding was there used to be an appliance store there that worked at one point prior to the property.
Time of the sale?
I'm sorry?
It was vacant at the time of the sale to,
Commercial place was not in use.
okay. Thank you. Does anybody in the audience or on the board first have any questions for either of these witnesses?
Okay. Any board members have questions? Okay. All right. Mr. Deming, anything you would like to add?
No, I would just I'd like to thank the board for its attention to this action tonight, and that's all I have.
And Emily, I didn't mean to forget you.
No, so just really quick, those parking spaces, would they be solely reserved for the residential, or would any of those spaces be used for any commercial that would go in?
Victor.
Yeah, we would have been more for like residential, yes.
Okay.
And
That's all I have.
also and also I own 830, that's the warehouse. I can even provide more parking space if it needs to.
Okay.
Right next to.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's important to know because depending how that first floor is used, you may have to deal with something like that. All right. Is there anybody in the audience have any questions? Seeing none. Anybody want to testify for the granting of the application or against granting the application? Again, seeing none, we'll close this appeal. We'll issue a decision at next month's meeting. You need not be here. It will be mailed to you. And we thank all of you. And nice to see you again, Mr. Deming.
Thank you, Chairman Rabina. Nice to see you too.
Okay, take care.
All right, bye.
That's good.
Kind of like
good
old
evening.
home week. All right, the next matter before us is Appeal 2406-0017, 521 Franklin Street. Furbat Investments LLC is seeking a variance for approval of a first floor dwelling unit and by an off-street parking spaces. The subject property is located in the CC Commercial Core Zoning District, and the owner of record is Furbat Investments LLC. Would you swear in our zoning officer, please?
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Has this appeal been posted?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Price?
Yes, I'll put some exhibits into the record. Exhibit number 1 is the notice. Exhibit number 2 is proof of publication of the notice. Exhibit number 3 is proof of posting of the notice. Exhibit number 4 is the application, including all of its attachments. And exhibit number 5 is the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading as amended.
Thank you. Ms. London, if you want to enter your appearance, you can do an offer of proof if you want. And if you're going to have anybody testify, we'll swear them in at this point.
All right, thank you. I will have two witnesses, Emmeline Fernandez, who's a principal in Purbat Investment LLC, and Miguel Herrera.
Okay. You want to swear them in, please?
Will you both please raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll enter my appearance, Joan, middle initial E, London, Kozloff Stout, 2640 Westview Drive, Wyomissing 19610. To give a brief offer of proof, Emmeline Hernandez will testify that she's a member of the LLC known as Furbat Investments, owner of the property since February 17th, 2022. The property is an L-shaped property which has frontage onto both Franklin Street and Pearl Street. And it has a 3-story building with an apartment on the 2nd floor, an apartment on the 3rd floor, and a detached garage with space for 2 vehicles. That was the state of the property as she purchased it. The 1st story of the building is not being used right now other than for some incidental storage of items for business. It's otherwise empty and unoccupied. She is asking the board for variance to allow the 1st floor to be used as an apartment as opposed to a commercial use. The 1st floor, and you're seeing the renderings prepared by Mr. Herrera and Milan Consulting on the screen. The 1st floor is believed, although we don't know for a fact, to have been used as an apartment. It looks like a living space more than a commercial space, with a kitchen, a bathroom, and what looks like a living area. Ms. Fernandez would also testify that the agent had told her at the time the property was sold to her, although obviously this is not binding, that the property had 3 apartments. She will testify to attempts to market the 1st floor of the property for commercial rental, but had no success in doing so. She couldn't even offer the space as office space to a nonprofit or to the church next door. They were not interested in the space. Part of the problem also comes from the fact that this property is in an historic district, and it would be expensive to and difficult to change the exterior to make it look like a commercial property. If the zoning officer can turn to the 1st page of the renderings, you can see photographs showing that the front of the property looks far more residential than commercial. She had a direct experience with the Historic and Architectural Review Board. With the steps, she had repaired the steps for tenant safety, and the safety of the tenants was her first priority. And the material that they wanted was a marble-like substance, which over which she had some concerns for safety, and she appealed and has been working with the board and will continue to do so. But to change the appearance of the property would require a long and arduous process. The 2nd variance that's being requested is for parking. As I stated, the property came with 2 off-street spaces in a detached garage on the property, but there's no other space on the property for off-street spaces between the pre-existing building, the garage, and the property being a long, narrow L-shaped space. She has looked into, Ms. Fernandez has looked into rentals of additional space with the Reading Parking Authority. There is the 6th and Cherry lot is directly behind her building. However, there is no residential rental available there. But she did check the South Penn garage, also a Reading Parking Authority garage, in the 600 block of Franklin Street. That is approximately a block from the property. I can tell you that I myself today used the measuring tool on the Berks County Parcel Search website and measured the distance along Franklin Street between 521 Franklin and the South Penn garage. which has an address of 635 Franklin Street, and the distance is approximately 480 feet. So we would need a variance, and Ms.
But Ms. London, let me ask you, if your client would agree to get 2 off-street parking spaces from the Reading Parking Authority and make sure that, because no bedroom sizes, no number of bedrooms were set forth for the first floor, to make sure that it complies with the parking, would that be agreeable to you and your client?
It would be agreeable. Ms. Fernandez, could you please confirm that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so yes, that would be agreeable to us as a condition. I will tell you that the apartment will be a 1-bedroom apartment, and the dimensions on the rendering are 880 or 885 square feet. Mr. Herrera can confirm that. So again, so we are asking for that variance from distance. This is a project we believe will benefit the neighborhood and have no negative impacts. It will provide a safe, code-compliant, workforce housing suitable apartment, and it will improve the appearance of the neighborhood. The character of the neighborhood is a mixed residential and commercial neighborhood with many residents. It will blend in. There won't be any changes to the footprint of the building.
Thank you.
Ms. Fernandez, could you go off mute for a moment?
Yes.
Okay, were you present during my testimony and hearing my testimony? And if you were to testify, would that have been your testimony?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Herrera, okay, yes, does the board have any questions for Ms. Fernandez?
I have one question. For how long did you advertise or attempt to get a tenant, a commercial tenant for that first floor?
You could say 1.5 years.
Okay. And when you bought it, the layout was all the same? You're
Same
basically
layout.
just renovating it? Okay.
Same layout. We just painted it.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thanks, Emily.
Mr. Price?
I have nothing more, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Any board members have any questions? Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off, Ms. London.
Oh, no, that's fine. I wanted to make sure that the board and solicitor and zoning officer didn't have any questions. Are you ready for the next witness? Mr.
Yeah,
Herrera?
go ahead. I don't think there's anybody in the audience, so just go ahead, and then I'll hit the back to that. Go
I
ahead.
think we do have someone in the audience, but I don't know if they're doing questions or testimony.
Are you referring to me, Donna?
We had Isa Mac Torres has said she wanted to speak on this.
Oh,
And myself as well.
Okay. Do you guys have questions or testimony?
I have questions.
okay. We'll take those questions.
Now?
Yes.
Okay. I just have a question. I had reached out to the zoning office to see if I could get some further information as to the parking situation for this property. I'm not an attorney, but I'm the property manager of the attached property at 523 Franklin Street. And I'm familiar with the layout of the building. So I just wanted to try to understand clearer what the proposed, what are they proposing for the parking? I'm aware of the existing garage that's there.
Well, we just clarified that said that they would have to get 2 off-street parking spaces from the Reading Parking Authority.
So are they not using the garage for parking?
They're gonna use whatever parking they have, but they're gonna have to get 2 additional spaces from the Reading Parking Authority.
Okay, so I just was concerned that maybe they were removing the garage because it is attached to the building. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Who else had a, go ahead.
Good evening. I didn't have a question, but Emily is correct. I wanted to participate to hear the process because I manage a property in the same block as the property at 521 Franklin Street. So I wanted to better understand with regards to the parking. So it's just learning what the zoning hearing process is.
Right. And if you contact the zoning office, they can give you information about parking. And not only that, the parking authority can also supply you with a lot of very helpful information. And they're making a lot of changes throughout the city, trying to get more parking for everybody. It's, the old story, it's about 10 pounds in a 5-pound sack, but there are ways to work on it. But, those are the two people that you need to, two agencies you need to talk to.
No, of course. Thank you, Phil. And for me, it's just, again, hearing what's happening as the housing demand pushes the conversion of some of these properties use. I wanted to hear what's happening. So today was just to really participate and listen.
It varies by zoning district. So as you saw the prior two Reading Parking Authority presentations, you saw that they're trying to ameliorate parking congestion in heavily or dense areas. They also did it down along the Binghamton Street Bridge, if you know that parking space down there. So that's what they're trying to do, put neighborhood parking in. When you're in the commercial neighborhood, commercial core district of the city, which is, I'd say, center city, most of that depends on freestanding parking garages.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. And thank you for all that are working to alleviate some of the issues that you're dealing with on a monthly basis.
One last thing to tell you, the city has something called One Stop. If you're thinking about doing something or somebody wants to do something, it's worth calling, making an appointment. People will fill you in on all the basics of what needs to happen, how it needs to happen, and who you need to get in touch with. It's an excellent service that this city offers.
No, for sure. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Ms. London, go ahead.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. Next, call Miguel Herrera. I ask that Mr. Herrera be qualified as an expert.
He's just going to certify the square footage.
He'll certify the square footage and the salient features of the plan.
That's fine. He's been with us before.
He's qualified.
All right, thank you. Mr. Herrera, are you familiar with the property located at 521 Franklin Street?
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, I am.
Okay, did you prepare the drawings that are up on the screen that were attached to the application?
Yes, I did.
And do those renderings that are up on the screen show the current and proposed condition of the property?
Yes, they do.
Will the area be approximately, will it be a one-bedroom apartment approximately 885 feet?
Well, that is the area that this apartment has exceeds the minimum requirements for a one-bedroom apartment.
All right, is it approximately 885 square feet?
Yeah, that's what we have, yes.
And will it have the living area, kitchen, sleeping area, and full bath required by the city?
Yes.
Will there be any changes to the footprint or height of the building?
No, that I am aware of.
Okay, and do you agree that there is that there's a garage which will fit 2 cars for off-street parking, but no other room for spaces on the property?
Exactly, no, that's correct.
Okay, and are all of the opinions you've offered rendered with a reasonable degree of professional certainty?
Yes, they are.
Okay, I don't have any further questions.
Okay. Anybody on the board have any questions?
Nope.
Emily?
Nope.
Okay. Steve?
I have none. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody in the audience? All right. Anybody in the audience wish to testify for or against this application? All right. Seeing none, we'll close this appeal. We make a decision at next month's meeting. We'll vote on that. You need not be here. The decision will be mailed to you. And just for anybody that's listening in, oftentimes when we vote for something or approval, sometimes there's lots of different parts of that we don't necessarily read, but that people have to comply with before they get approval and can move on. It's not just a yes or no and go ahead. And so that concludes our meeting for this evening, and board members, hang in there. Emily has some administrative things she would like to go over with us. So once everybody is off the screen except us, we'll have Emily make her presentation, and we'll decide how we do our workshop.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. London.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So long, everyone.